Picture this. It's the absolute dead of night. Your house is completely suffocatingly silent, except for the hissing static of a TV set in the other room. You're huddled in a dark closet, the burning taste of salt water in your mouth, and you're just waiting for a stuffed doll that you just literally stabbed to come find you. Welcome to this explainer, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a truly terrifying Japanese ritual that completely blurs the line between a spooky urban legend and real psychological horror. I mean, this isn't the plot of some new horror movie. This is a viral internet phenomenon that has allegedly terrified, cursed, and even physically harmed people all over the globe. So let's jump right into the dark, shall we?
Imagine being totally alone at night and actually hearing footsteps outside your bedroom door after playing a game you thought was just a harmless internet myth. That quote right there, that comes directly from a Reddit user, an American student named Sarah who was studying abroad in Japan. She and her host sister Akane decided to try this ritual on a whim using a cheap 100-yen doll they named Arena. They honestly thought it'd just be a fun, harmless way to test their bravery. But they made a massive critical error in their prep. They used drops of their own blood instead of fingernail clippings. And ever since then, Sarah reported her TV just changing channels on its own, these warped, bizarre sounds echoing through the house, and this persistent, agonizing feeling of being hunted. And the wildest part? Even after they burned the doll, the haunting didn't stop.
So that brings us to this chilling question. Would you play hide and seek with a ghost? Because that is the entire premise of Hitori Kakurenbo, also known as one-man hide and seek. It's a viral ritual challenging the bravest, or maybe the most foolish souls, to invite an entity into their home. Sometimes you'll hear it called Hitori Oni Goko, which roughly translates to playing tag alone. But listen, the word alone is incredibly deceptive here. The whole point of this ritual is to make sure that by the time the game actually begins, you are no longer the only presence in your house. You're basically creating a physical vessel, like a beacon, for wandering spirits or demonic entities to inhabit. It's a twisted invitation to play a children's game, but with deadly stakes.
Okay, Section 2. Rules of the Dark Ritual. Let's look at the meticulous, frankly eerie mechanics required to play this game, because the preparation requires a deeply unsettling toolkit. First, you need a stuffed animal, and it absolutely must have arms and legs so it can act as a proper substitute for a human body. Then, add a sharp object like scissors or a knife, a needle, a spool of crimson red thread, a cup of natural salt water, and some uncooked rice. And as Sarah learned the hard way, using blood acts as this definitive binding dark magic contract. It literally ties your own life force directly to whatever happens to enter that doll. The actual steps to get ready are highly specific. First, you literally gut the toy. You remove all its original stuffing, which is supposed to symbolize emptying it of its innocence and purity. Then, you fill that empty cavity with rice. Rice is a traditional offering to spirits, and here it acts as substitute flesh. Next, you place your own fingernail clippings inside. This is the crucial link, right? You're giving the doll a literal piece of yourself, turning it into your alter ego. Finally, you sew the wound shut with a red thread, and then you wrap the leftover thread tightly around the doll's body to visually bind the entity inside with artificial blood vessels. Just incredibly creepy stuff.
And then, the clock strikes exactly 3 a.m., the witching hour. The game begins. At this exact time, which, by the way, is globally recognized in paranormal circles as when the veil between our world and the spirit world is thinnest, you have to name the doll. Give it any name, except your own. Think about that for a second. Naming something psychologically changes how we view it, right? You're giving this inanimate object an identity and power. So you look the doll in its lifeless eyes, say your own name, and declare that you are the first it 3 times. Then you submerge the vessel into a bathtub filled with water. In traditional folklore, water is a huge conductor for spiritual energy.
Next, you plunge your entire house into absolute darkness. The only light should come from a TV set tuned to pure static. You close your eyes, count to 10, and go back to the bathroom. You pull this wet, heavy doll out of the tub. Look at it, say, "I found you," and violently stab it with your blade. You immediately declare, "Now it's your turn." Leave the blade inside the doll and sprint for your life to a predetermined hiding spot, usually a dark closet. Once you're hidden, you take a mouthful of salt water, but you do not swallow it. Imagine that, the taste of salt burning your mouth, the overwhelming silence, just the hiss of static bleeding in from the other room. That salt is your one and only shield against whatever is now roaming your halls.
Which brings us to tales of terror. What actually happens when people try this in the dead of night? Well, stories absolutely flood platforms like Reddit and 2chan, describing horrific outcomes.
There's this one chilling account from a forum about a group of friends who all tried it in their own homes. One girl accidentally left her salt water behind when she hid. The very next day, her friends received a wildly disturbing video message. It allegedly showed her walking with stiff, unnatural movements, clutching a knife to her own chest, declaring to the camera that she was now it and was coming to find them next. Other players constantly report hearing wet footsteps slapping against the floorboards right outside their closet, or the TV static suddenly morphing into actual voices. And the worst part? When the player finally comes out of hiding, they find the stabbed doll is completely missing from the bathroom.
Moving on to tracing the urban legend. Let's pull back the curtain and see where something this meticulously creepy actually originated.
Looking at the timeline, this legend didn't just pop up overnight. It has really deep roots in traditional folklore. Believe it or not, back in the spring and summer of 1979 in the Nagasaki prefecture, rumors of similar supernatural games spread so wildly that it caused massive panic. Schools literally forced students to walk home in large, teacher-led groups, and police had to increase street patrols to calm down the public. It was real hysteria. But the specific modern rules for Hitori Kakurenbo that we've been talking about, those were first codified and posted on the occult board of 2chan on April 18, 2007, where it instantly went viral as users live blogged their attempts.
The ritual actually borrows heavily from the Shinto concept of a yorishiro. In Shintoism, spirits or kami need a physical object to inhabit in our world. That's a yorishiro. So by emptying the doll and giving it offerings of rice and your DNA, you are deliberately crafting a dark yorishiro. It also borrows from Ushi no Toki Mairi, an ancient traditional curse where someone visits a shrine at the hour of the ox, between 1 and 3 a.m., and nails a straw doll representing an enemy to a sacred tree.
And look at how the blade is used here. It's fascinating. In traditional Japanese cursing rituals, the doll is known as a mutate, an alter ego. Because you put your own fingernails into the doll before you stab it, some folklorists point out that you aren't actually summoning a demon at all. You're performing an ancient curse upon yourself. You are the victim, and your own mind and soul are the actual targets of that blade.
Section 5. Dissecting the myth. If ghosts aren't real, why do so many people report the exact same horrifying experiences?
Let's tear this legend apart and look at the mechanics of the human mind, because it's a perfect storm. Think about the last time you were exhausted in a pitch-black room. Your brain gets desperate and tries to fill in the shadows. You're awake at 3 a.m., so you're sleep-deprived and your brain is misfiring. You've plunged your house into total darkness, causing sensory deprivation. The only sound is TV static, which is a known trigger for auditory pareidolia. That's when your brain finds patterns, like whispering voices and random white noise. Add all that to the fact that many 2chan users played simultaneously while chatting online. That creates a massive feedback loop of group hysteria, where one person's panic instantly infects everyone else.
When you compare claims of demonic possession against the hard science of group hysteria, the explanation becomes incredibly sharp. The power of suggestion is so potent. I mean, if you spend an hour performing a dark ritual, meticulously following rules that you are explicitly told will result in your death if broken, your adrenaline and cortisol levels are going to absolutely skyrocket. The physical symptoms players report, ringing ears, nausea, chest pain, intense dread, those are textbook symptoms of a severe panic attack induced by self-inflicted psychological torture. Your mind fully expects to be hunted, so it manifests the hunter.
But if you ever do find yourself in this situation, the lore demands a super strict closing sequence, and it has to happen within 2 hours of starting. Whether it's a demon or just your own panic, the game has to end. You have to come out of hiding, keeping that salt water in your mouth. You search your dark house for the doll, which remember, terrified players claim is often not where they left it. When you do find it, you pour the salt water from your cup onto it, and then spit the salt water from your mouth directly onto it. You chant, "I win, I win, I win," with the relief of a survivor. Finally, the doll must be completely incinerated in a fire, turning the physical vessel and the curse to ash.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've dissected the folklore, the history of Japanese shrine curses, and the psychological mechanics of sensory deprivation that make this ritual so deeply terrifying. We know that the footsteps in the dark and the voices in the static are most likely just the desperate inventions of a sleep-deprived, panicked mind. But as you sit in your own home tonight, looking into the dark corners of your hallway, ask yourself, are you absolutely sure